And good morning. Welcome to the DFS Minute here on Roto Curve. It's your host, Michael Rathburn, here on April 21st, 2015. And we're going to hit you up today with the DFS Minute. We're going to go over last night in baseball, what happened, and where we hit, where we missed, and then go over some of what happened tonight and then what you need to look forward to tonight as well. So in regards to last night, it was a little bit frustrating. Did hit on a lot of the hitters that we gave out last night, which was good. And then with the rain situation in Pittsburgh, I'm sorry, I really wanted to go with Arrieta, but I did not feel comfortable with the weather. So I went off of him and I went with Shoemaker, Iwakuma in some spots, and had Volquez on DraftKings because the price was so cheap. So Volquez did okay, but sitting there with a really good lineup, late games rolling, thinking, hey, you know what? I got Shoemaker at home, I got Iwakuma at home. The totals are low. Let's hope they just go out there and give me 6-7 innings and don't get blown up. Well, they both got blown up and basically fried my tournament lineups last night. But the good thing is all the bats pretty much hit outside of Miggy and Kinsler, and so that from that perspective, I did hit on the 50-50s and the heads up. So definitely was good. It could have been a really big night if Shoemaker and Iwakuma had at least just pitched an average outing. But that's what happens in daily, is you got to ride the ups and the downs. And but I was really high on Derek Norris last night, so he came through. I know I'm not the only one that was high on him. Obviously, I looked at ownership percentage, and it was extremely high, especially on FanDuel, where he was so cheap, hitting in the top of the lineup, and then with a huge ballpark and huge split. So Derek Norris really jumped out, and probably a guy you're going to be able to use again today in this spot. So some other guys that we talked about last night, Will Middlebrooks, Cano, Seth Smith, Ryan Rayburn was a guy I had everywhere, and he really came through in a big way. So when you have guys like that come through in a big way, it usually makes for a positive night. The frustrating thing, like I said, with the Cubs and the Pirates game, that game did go off, but you had tarps on the field, you had delays, and for me, it was just too risky to take a shot, especially on a one-pitcher site where all my eggs are going to be in that one basket. So I did not have any Arrieta last night. And then the way that the landscape was going last night, where there was literally no runs early on, which was tough, because you're thinking, uh-oh, this Padre game is coming in Coors, and boy, there's going to be an explosion. And it sure looked that way, obviously, early on. Padres jump out of the gate, 5 runs in the first. All of a sudden, they're up 9-0, and the Rockies do literally nothing last night, put up a couple of runs. And so, that's one of the things that I've learned early on so far this season, is when I have done stacks, I've gotten burned. So I'm going back to the strategy that I usually would employ, is making sure that I'm diversified when it comes to the hitters that I have and the games that I'm in. So that way if one of these teams doesn't perform the way that it's expected, all your eggs aren't in that one basket, especially when you're playing 50-50 and you're playing heads ups. You want to try to have one batter per team in your lineup. If you have to go to 2 because that's the only way you can make it fit, that's fine. But I would say, for a standard rule of thumb, try to be as diverse as possible, because if that team doesn't perform the way that you expect, then your lineup is in really bad shape, because you really have 8 hitters on FanDuel, and then you have 9 over on DraftKings. And so if you're picking 3 guys or 4 guys from one team, it could be 50%, or it could be 35-40% of your lineup. And if it doesn't go off the way that you expect it, you're going to be in bad shape. That's why you only really recommend that strategy when you play in large field tournaments, because it's basically boom or bust. You're basically trying to get that 1 through 4 hitter, 2 through 5, and if they all go off, then if you're gonna capitalize and really clean up. But if they don't, you're going to be left, at the bottom of the standing. So that's where stacking comes into play. It's definitely not something you want to be doing in your 50-50s and your heads ups. Frustrating night for guys that had Trevor Bauer, especially on FanDuel. He pitched a gem of an outing last night. I did have him in some of those turbo slates over on DraftKings as a second pitcher, and he put up a monster night, and then had the bullpen completely crap out, and then basically piss away the win. And so if you're in a season-long league, you may want to start looking at picking up Shaw from the Indians, because Cody Allen has not done well, and there could be a short leash on him in the closer role. So definitely something you want to keep an eye on. Like I said, talked about Shoemaker and Iwakuma last night. It was in this situation where I really didn't feel great about using those guys. But again, heavy favorite, low total. You're just hoping that they come through in his floor, and it didn't happen. So which is frustrating. But the bats came through, so all wasn't lost. You talk about tonight. You got 15 games, so a huge slate. Not a lot of pitching out there. There is some pitching, and we're going to go over that real quick. Though, going to go over some pricing changes. The biggest difference, I think, you got a couple guys. You got some guys on FanDuel you want to be aware of. Nelson Cruz is the biggest one. Jumped $700. Now he's up to 5,400. Started the season at 4,200. Now he's at 54. For me, now he's off the table. Just too expensive. Unless I get him in an optimal hitting environment against a weak lefty, I'm not using him at that price tag. It's too high. Mookie Betts up 500 to 3,500. I think he's still in play at 3,500 hitting leadoff against weak pitchers because he does so much and he can steal bases. He's still a guy that you definitely want to look at as being able to use. And then Cespedes went up 400 to 4,200. So that's probably a little bit too much for my blood on him. So again, I'll just wait till he goes through a slump, let his price come down, and then we'll be back and use him again. We'll keep you aware of these price changes. The only guy that really went down is Cargo. He went down to 3,800. He went down $600. So at 3,800, I think he now becomes a must play in the right situation, in cores against righties. That could be an option. And tonight might be an option where you want to take advantage of that price drop and put Cargo in your lineup because he didn't really do much last night, and maybe he can bounce back. Especially at 3,800, you can definitely use him in your 50-50s and your heads ups and be able to take a good pitcher and still get him in and have the upside of a double dong night, which is what we all look for in DFS. A double dong night for you guys is basically multiple home runs. Double dong is a double home run. That's like kind of the holy grail of what you want for a hitter on a given night. You put up a double dong with any of your guys, you're probably going to cash in everything you play. Pitchers. The guys I like today is on FanDuel, I like John Neese and I like Liriano. Heavy favorites, low totals, going against weaker pitchers and weaker lineups. So I like this. I'm not saying Cubs are weak, but it's a good spot for Liriano. He's really good at home. He's been phenomenal at home. And I think you're looking at the win. You need to get the win on FanDuel. I talked about it yesterday on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio with Chris Liss and Jeff Erickson on the RotoWire show. And you have to realize, we talk about how important the win is, but let's quantify. If you need 35 points to win a 50-50 or a heads up on FanDuel, and 4 points is your win, the points that you get for a win, that's 11 to 12% of your total score. That's huge. So if you get 8 points out of a pitcher and you get a win, then that's big. It gets you to 12. 12 is really the magic number that you need out of a pitcher to get to the point where you really win in these 50-50s double ups. Usually if you have less than 12, unless your lineup goes off, but if you have 12 or more, you're usually going to be sitting in really good shape. So, that's kind of the minimum floor target that you're looking for is 4. Now, if you happen to pop a win, that's even better because then you get to 14, you get to 16, and that's when you start really being able to leverage the lineup and you can overcome some stuff on your batting side that maybe not come through. Because let's face it, there's times where your hitters are all going to go off and you're going to look like a genius. And then there's going to be times where especially you're playing on FanDuel, you got negative points and all you see is 0, -2.5, -5.0, -7.5. And that's extremely frustrating when you're like, how the heck can I pick 8 guys in a given night and none of them get a hit? It's going to happen. In baseball, the average last year was 250. The average league batting average was 250. That means guys are failing 75% of the time. So you got to just be aware that on the hitting side, you're going to have ups and downs. Your pitching should remain constant. Don't tinker and don't get cute, especially in these contests that we're telling you to play. But with the hitters, what you're looking for is value in guys in optimal positions, hitter park, bad opposing pitcher, and split differential. Those are the things that you're looking for. You're looking to take advantage. Guys are hitting high in the lineup in good lineup spots where they're going to have the ability to drive in runs and hopefully hit you home runs. That's what we're looking for every day in daily fantasy baseball, especially on FanDuel. Now, 2 other guys I like, and this is probably going to be for multiple pitcher site. I like Colin McHugh and I like Lance Lynn, mainly because the totals are low. So these should be low. They're projected to be low-scoring games. These guys can get strikeouts, and McHugh, I think, is really going under the radar. Look at McHugh's game logs over the last few games that he's pitched. I'd say about the last 10 outings that he's had, I think Colin McHugh is a guy that's really being overlooked right now. And I think he's a lot better than what people realize. And it's because he's pitching on Houston, he gets overlooked. But I really like Colin McHugh in this spot tonight, going against Taijuan Walker, who's gotten lit up pretty much every outing that he's had so far this year. So McHugh and Lynn are guys I'm definitely looking at. I think you can go with them as tournament options on FanDuel, but I think you really like them on DraftKings and like Fantasy Aces, where you get multiple pitchers. So not so much win dependent on, that's what you're looking at, is the win on FanDuel is worth 11-12% of a winning score, 4 into 35. But if you need 100 points on DraftKings and the win is only 4, that's only 4 points. You have 2 pitchers, so that's still only 8%. If you pop a win on both your pitchers, it's still only 8% of your total score that you need to win. So the win is not as important. You need guys that go deep into games, that aren't going to get shelled, and that can get you strikeouts. That's Lance Lynn, and that's Colin McHugh. I don't care about the win on those guys tonight. I need 7-8 innings. I need 6-7 Ks. I need 1-2 earned runs. I need the game to be close, and that's what I'm looking for on DraftKings, and that's what I'm looking for on Fantasy Aces. We started talking about prices, and I talked about FanDuel. I'm going to hit DraftKings really quick, because it's basically based on team and park and opposing matchup. It looks like these are the pricing adjustments today for DraftKings. It looks like up is Texas, Miami, and Arizona. Texas and Arizona are playing in the same game. A couple of bad pitchers, hitters ballpark, so you can understand that. Down, Dodgers, Twins, Red Sox, Nationals. So those are the teams where the prices have come down. If you think you can take advantage of it, then definitely take a look at those teams, because the prices have been adjusted down. Something you got to be aware of every day on DraftKings. Take a look at the pricing. I keep a spreadsheet. I look at the pricing from the previous days. I look at the pricing that day, and I identify really quick where I think that I need to be looking, where there's opportunities. Guys have been priced up, guys that are priced down. And then the other thing you want to talk about tonight, obviously, is we got the game in Coors with a really high total. And we got another lefty on the mound for the Rockies, and we saw what the Padres did last night to De La Rosa. They absolutely destroyed him. And you got Tyler Matzik going tonight, and I'm probably going to have some righties in there as well. Got to think that Derek Norris and Will Mutterbrooks are going to be in play again tonight, only because from a value perspective, you're getting incredible value on these guys, especially on FanDuel, where it makes them almost a must-play. Now, in head-to-head and tournament, head-to-head and 50-50, I'm not worried about whatever the people are doing. I just want the best lineup I can get out there, which is the safest, best value lineup I can get with my strongest pitcher. So, but in tournaments, you got to imagine that people are going to be loading up on the Padres tonight. So definitely be aware that that may be a way that you can go against. And if the Padres don't hit tonight, then you can be ahead of the field in the tournament. That's really what you want to do. You want to go against the curve, as we say here on Roto Curve, in a tournament where if everybody's going on one team, you probably want to go the other way, because if it doesn't hit, then you're gonna be able to take advantage. All right, we're gonna close up today. Remember, today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, 12 noon to 1 Eastern, Benny and Josh with the Curve Show, hitting you with an entire slate, going over the slate of games today, and most importantly, hitting you with those training sessions, those strategy sessions, where you, as a new or a beginner player or intermediate player, can get some advice from guys that play every day, that have been down this road, that have been playing for years, that have made the mistakes, and that have been able to correct them, and then tell you how to get around it and how to build a winning lineup every day. This is Rath signing off. Hit me up on Twitter at Fantasy Rath. And as we always say here at Roto Curve, stay classy, DFS.